Welcome to yet another episode of the POV podcast. And this is like the 7th million enyewe. This is yet another episode with me, Kate Rira, and I'm so glad you're joining in. Wherever you're getting us from, is it Spotify, is it Boomplay, is it Twitter, Facebook, Instagram? We're glad you're on it. But for sure, if you can see me, today I'm looking so good, courtesy of Nzula Beauty. The beautiful makeup was on me all today, and I've been looking so good. And I have been dressed by Label 15. I've been dressed by Label 15, and I'm feeling so good. And of course, this amazing place I'm shooting at is the Twiva Studios. They've made sure that my sound is crisp and you can see me very well. Let's get on to it. Before all of you guys had learnt about influencing, before your sister ever got onto Twitter, before your brother started influencing sijui hapa kwa Instagram, there's a guy by the name Ramzzy Oloch, aka Ramadan Oloch, who used to do it for such a long time, working in agency and also taking the Twitter streets by storm. He's going to be joining me on one of the most interesting sessions ever. Habari yako?
Poa sana mambo.
Poa sana. Every time someone comes, I have to compliment them on something I like. And just before we went on air, I was complimenting you on your hair.
Thank you.
I think it's really cool. It's silver, inakaa vizuri sana.
Asante.
Wanakuita Silver Fox huku nje?
Mimi najiita hivyo. Also unajiita ile jina unataka kuitwa.
Lakini kama unataka kutumia pesa kwa simu tutakuita nini? Because hiyo ndio maana.
Ramadhani.
Bas.
Yeah.
Lazima ike Ramadhani.
Asi unatuma tu kwa namba yangu, jina itakuja.
Jina itakuwa. Mtumieni tunini anyoe hizi nywele mingi. I don't know if you've ever met these African parents who are always like, hizi manywele mnaweka. Have you ever met those kind of parents? Or those so opinionated people?
I am so happy my parents are not like, my mom has never been that type of parent.
Oh, okay. You guys have been feeling free.
It's been cool. Like, me, nywele yangu nilikuwa nalazimishwa kunyoa shule, not even at home.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. When did you join Twitter, by the way?
I joined Twitter it still shows on my bio, I think in May 2009.
That's a very long time ago.
Yeah. Kuna watu walikuwa primo bado hiyo time.
Can you not shout here? Are you shouting at us? You did not ask to be shouted at.
Yeah, May 2009. And then I think when I joined, I didn't like it at all.
You didn't like?
No.
Why?
Things were just moving so fast and messages were so short. I think 140 characters.
Yeah. But has that changed?
There was no photos. There was no video. Like, all we did was just jump on hashtags and look at what's happening around the world.
Yeah, before we started getting trends now. Kenyan trends.
Kenyan trends. There's a time we didn't have Kenyan trends. We actually had to lobby to get one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So you're one of the people who designed KOT?
I found guys before me. Before I joined Twitter, it was mostly bloggers. Yeah, most of I'd say veteran bloggers. That was their platform.
Yeah.
Because it works really well with links and driving traffic to websites. So it was their home before we got there.
I like that. And I can imagine the move to now put your life out there, because you're also a YouTuber for a long time.
Yeah.
You put your life on YouTube for a very long time. That was a serious leap of faith.
Yeah.
No one was opening their screens that much. Not screens. No one was opening up their lives that much.
Yeah, I would say the benchmark for me personally has never been what's being done locally.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
you don't play local.
I think for you to be able to be a maverick and to be able to do things that, take you to the next level, you should never put your benchmark locally. Look at the guys who are doing big things right now.
Yeah.
On TikTok, on IG. It's not guys who are looking at the local market and saying, this guy is doing this, let me do that. It's guys who are looking at who's doing what globally.
Yes.
And that's what I'm aiming at, yeah.
I hear you. And it's safer to do things that way, because then now you know where you're aiming at and where the scale is. And I remember also at that time when you decided to put a lot of social media on your life, also you could see the same trend from the American bloggers, where single people are putting out their content, couples are putting out their content. And I can imagine, how was it received at first here?
I guess for us, the very beginning when we're doing YouTube, it was mostly about sharing life as young adults, trying to navigate lives as, young professionals You know, working in advertising, working in marketing, how we're raising our small family, and that was it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
In
really
the
nice.
beginning, we're very shy about it, I guess, because we did quite a lot of content without monetizing the page.
Yeah.
And I actually learned about monetizing your YouTube page from my comments. Like, guys were like, hey, you know,
How
you
come
spend a
you-
lot of time shooting, editing, you need to start earning
From
some-
this.
Yeah.
You didn't know?
I just never cared about that side of it.
It's because you were earning elsewhere.
Yeah, because we had jobs.
Yes, yes, yes.
Both of us had jobs.
Yes.
So I think for social media as well, like once it becomes your source of income, then you start thinking differently. But it should never start that way. That's something I keep reminding guys. Like, don't let money always be the motivation.
And you see, that's the thing with social media right now. Everyone getting in, they're getting in to become social influencers and learn and earn.
Yeah.
But you started the other way around. You
Yeah.
had a career, then social media. But you see, with that, I feel like things have changed. The people who are just starting off on that end, it's just peaking.
I agree and disagree to a degree, because now you can earn money from social media.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you stagger your gigs in such a way that even if one check is delayed, you know,
Yeah.
you have another one that has come through, and you stagger your gigs like that, it's possible. Why I say, and I keep telling guys, don't let money be the motivator, is because before you start making that bank, you need to put out a whole lot of content. And if money is your only motivation, your enthusiasm might
I feel
die
like
before.
you're talking to me.
Yeah, your enthusiasm might die before you start earning the checks.
I think you're talking because you see, there's a time I really put out content alone. I was excited to put out content. I'm one of the people who started Money Mondays way earlier. I started it on radio before it went online.
Yeah.
These were market things. One of the first people who did it, but then I never monetized it. And then when I was not seeing it earning, I was like, fuck it. I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah.
And it happened so many times because guys are like, see, you do this. I'm like, I have done this 5 years ago. I don't know what you people are telling me. You know, when you're futuristic, because I understood when you said you have your eyes outside.
Yeah.
Your limit, your target is not Kenyan. It's always outside.
Yeah.
I had the same sight for a lot of things. I had my eyes outside. So when I was not hitting those targets, I'm like, you know what? E-content, hata mnaweza jifanyia. You guys don't appreciate people when they put content. Kumbe. I was doing it all wrong.
You see now where the sweet spot is. I am pretty sure if you didn't have a radio gig, you would have stuck to your guns and just said, nakufa na hii content.
Yeah?
Yeah, you would have, but you had something to fall back on. It's the same way I look at YouTube sometimes. I'm like, do you know, if I didn't have a day job, that would have been everything to me.
You a YouTuber.
I would have been a YouTuber by profession, but then at some point I was like, you know, nah, man, you can't put too much out there.
Let's go back to agency work. You starting out working in advertising and agency.
Yeah.
There's a common thing people say about people in advertising. They're very cutthroat.
Yeah.
A little bit mean.
Yeah.
You guys are very characterized like these people who don't care you guys work.
Yeah.
Till the late of the hours. And I'm like, is that the actual life ama tunawaekelea?
The agency reputation is cutthroat because you are in a market where the brands are like this many and the agencies are this many. So if you're the best, you get to play at the top teams. And if you get into the top team, everybody's trying to get to the top. So that's why the cutthroat thing comes from. It used to be a thing, and you burn out quite fast.
Okay.
So for me, I think I'm very fortunate because I had agency when I started out. I learned the value of working hard, the value of pushing yourself. But then I started seeing around me how that taking it too far is really affecting guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, burnouts. And you know what they don't tell you about burnouts is you can push yourself as far and go beyond your limits. But once you experience a burnout, you never know whether you're going to recover in 2 months, 2 years, or 20 years.
Wait, when you say a burnout, it's one crazy late night that your body was shut down completely Explain a burnout, because I don't think I ever had a burnout.
A burnout is when you are physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted.
Oh.
That happens.
Your body can't.
Because you see, the thing they don't tell you about agency, guys, is we're all creatives. All of us, it doesn't matter like if you don't do creative work or if because you're chilling with creative people from probably 9 in the morning till 9 at night.
Yes.
So the energy rubs off on you. And your brain becomes your office. So I could be on my way to a concert and I'm cracking a brief in my head.
Where?
I could be on my way to a holiday. I don't choose. Like, you don't choose when your ideas come.
They're always just streaming in and out.
Yeah, so your brain is always active. You know, and sometimes you hear, like, I hear people saying designers are very arrogant and blah, blah, blah. It's because designers know where what's the word for it? Designers know where their boundaries is.
Okay.
Where their boundaries are, and they put an axe on that boundary. So if a designer tells you I'm going on leave and they switch off their phone,
respect that.
you respect that because they know for a fact that you won't have a vacay if your phone is on.
Everyone is like,
most
we
big
need
agencies,
this, we need this, we need this.
In most big agencies, you won't have that. Sometimes you could go on leave and you do your handout notes and you expect that when you come back, things have moved. You'll find your work just the way you left it.
Everyone was stalling, waiting for your arrival.
Designers, they'll come through for each other. Because they know if I switch my phone off, someone else can do it. But then everybody else is just, okay, it depends on who your workmates are and how much of, respect you have for each other or how you like each other and whatever.
There's this other notion that, especially in advertising agencies, a lot of backstabbing happens. There's a lot of savagery. And it happens in every industry.
Yeah.
But if there are industries that I know that are quite savage.
Media,
the law.
Yeah.
And politics and advertising.
I'd say anywhere where there's money, there's a lot of backstabbing. Because I won't lie, there's a lot of money in advertising to be made. If you're good enough, you can make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of backstabbing, and I can imagine. Have you experienced people stabbing you with a knife or a spoon or a fork?
It's happened twice to me.
What happened? Tell me. Don't have details, but just be wise about it.
So I won't say who, but I've been in situations where, when you're so good and you say I'm leaving and people don't want you to leave, you'll find some elements that are usually afraid because of the industry and how it's structured. They become afraid that if you leave, you might leave with some clients. So they can't mud your name when you're still around.
Yeah.
They wait for you to leave and then they go around spreading. I've heard rumors about how I left one agency and stole an idea, took it to another agency. I've had another rumor where I woke up one day and decided, today is my last day, when actually my contract had run out.
Where people will always push the narrative.
Yeah, my contract had run out and I had kids and a family, and I was like, hey, if you guys are not raising this conversation about whether this contract is getting renewed, I can't wait till the last minute to start telling my family, what if
that
you
guys
can
afford it.
What if you guys decide you're not extending the contract? You know what I'm saying? So I started planning early, way ahead, and I was like, I need to bail because nobody's talking to me. I mean, if I was valuable here, they'd sit me down out of respect, and say, hey, your contract is ending in a week, 2 weeks, maybe
we love
a
what
month.
you've been
we
doing.
love what you've been doing, or your service has been great. We want to extend it, but that wasn't done, and I just felt like these guys either they don't respect me or it's done. They're not renewing it.
And that's something very common with a lot of employment spaces in Kenya, especially, and I see it so many times where people really value you subjectively, not objectively.
Yeah.
It's one of the saddest things I see in this country,
Yeah.
that I would not like someone, so I would not employ them, and they're the best. I find it so stupid. Let me just say, it's stupid. Doesn't have. Let me even say, it's stupid. If I don't like you, but you are the best at your job, fanya kazi mimi nipate pesa. Mimi sina shughuli na wewe.
That has been my way of working, and I've worked with influencers like that. I actually used to give gigs to people who troll me almost every other day. I'm like, bro, you just punguza, don't attack me. Just stop being a bully and keep doing this bit that's working. This one here.
Make your money.
Make your money. Wachana na hizi side shows za ujinga. Please, hii wachana nayo. Up and do iko. So I used to do that a lot when I was.
But where do you think it stems from? Because you see, it's not your industry. It's so many industries where people are subjective more than objective. And that's why even you see a lot of notions. Some I see on TikTok, it's like the laziest employee is winning. The most hardworking one doesn't really win, you know? And I'm like, are we being objective with human resource, or are we being... Because I'm like, why would we do that? Because it's such a common narrative a lot of places. And because you've been employed for quite a while, I want to know what you think.
I used to joke about it with my friends. Because I won like a couple of in-house awards, maybe some, industry awards.
Best marketer.
Not really. I think like best like Maverick of the year.
Okay.
Digital Maverick of the year.
But do you say?
When you
humble brag.
When you win such awards and you're working at like tops of the top, a top of the top company, it really boosts your confidence. It really does a thing for you. But I used to joke about it with my friends. I used to say, the reward for being the best at what you do is more work. It's never a bigger pay unless I say I'm leaving. Unless I cry, like I literally have to come and cry and say, hey, look at what I'm doing. Look at what it's doing.
But why do you have to do that? Why can't you see that I'm doing a good job?
I had a client once, a client called Steve Maikweki. Used to work with him a lot. And Steve used to always remind me all the time, Rama, when you do a good job, you have to say you've done a good job and show you've done a good job.
And put credit on it. It's mine. This is my job. I did this.
Because most times, if someone doesn't see that you're the one that did a good job, someone else might take the credit for it.
I did that for such a long time.
Yeah, and you can't be mad, because that's where now people are saying, it's so cutthroat. It's like, yeah, bro, if you do a good job, say, I did this. The way a painter does a very classical painting and you sign at the bottom. Because if you don't sign it, someone else might come centuries later and just say, it's my work.
And what can you say?
Utadu. Utafanya. Utalilia na tenda maandamano. Will you throw stones?
Udonga baya.
No, see, that's the reality. I think if I had the opportunity to speak to the younger version of myself, the enthusiastic guy who was getting into advertising, like I won't even lie by the when you have the energy, if you have to work till 2 a.m, just do it, man. Like,
do it, but put your stamp on it.
Yeah, do it, put your stamp on it. That's where you build your experience. When people say you're 10,000 hours, if you start working at a certain age and you want to be an expert in whatever you're doing, you need to put in those hours. Yeah, just make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Don't be one of those guys who works till 2 a.m. in the morning and then after work you just unaingia club. Upige sherehe mpaka 6. So we used to do that.
But that's the thing I wanted to ask as well. There's a lot of addiction in agency and advertising.
Yeah.
It comes with the perks of you'll get a lot of free goodies as well. You have a lot of relationships with a lot of brands.
Yeah.
And then also this burnout that comes. I'm sorry, I'm not going to put air quotes on that. That's quite rude.
Yeah.
And then this actual burnout in life.
Yeah.
Is addiction that much of an epidemic for agency guys?
I wouldn't say it's an agency problem. I'd say it's a personality type problem. Like most creative people usually have something they're running away from. And you can choose to bring it out through your creativity, or you can choose to deal with it through substance abuse and, those two poor habits.
What's your way of evading troubles?
I paint a lot.
You paint a lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I never worked in an art studio and I worked in agency, but I paint.
That's your way. So the day we find you painting, you're frustrated as shit.
Not really. Like it's like going to the gym, For me, it's like it's. I do hikes. I paint. To me, that's exercise for the mind.
Okay.
It's like the way someone said, "I'm going to the gym." You don't go to the gym. You don't necessarily go to the gym to lose weight. You just want to stay healthy.
Do you sell your art?
Yes, I do.
Hey, you sell your art?
Yes, I do.
What's the most expensive art you've sold?
I sold a painting for 150 G's.
To whom?
It was a commissioned work. I won't say who, but yeah.
100. What would ununua art ya 150K?
150K.
Mwaweke wapi?
Kuna art nimeuza hata 400. But those are like, it doesn't happen. That's not the...
You see, people, I keep telling you we're not in the same universe, and you don't listen. This guy is selling paintings for 400K. Na kuna mtu hapa kwa traffic. Au wanauzanga za thou.
That's commissioned work and it's taxed. You know what I'm saying? It's not one of those you say like, I sell all my paintings go for 150, or they all go for 4 sok.
There's some that
you just have specific jobs that someone just says, hey, I just want this specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I hear you, because even me, sometimes when I think of my mantra, I think there's certain things I need art to be portrayed in a specific way.
Yeah.
I don't like the art that sometimes we buy, and so because I get it, but I never get the message.
Ile Masai wanakunywa maji na gourd.
Our Masai ni akina nani brothers and miss why are they in my house?
You'll find that in every
I don't like
house.
that. I don't like that. I like things that make sense. You know, like this is a writing by my friend. This is a message from the Bible that I love. You know, it has to make sense to me.
Yeah, it has that personal value.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how I see art.
Yeah.
It's really good for you if you're able to earn from it, because we have the frustrated artist in Kenya, man. Like, whoa.
Let me tell you, and I don't want to mislead anyone. I can't say that I earn from art, but I do art. I do a lot of art.
Yeah.
When you want to sell it, you can. When you get commissions, you can. But actually, you can live off it. Just depends on what type of life you want. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's the thing.
And that's the thing. You just have to decide what type of life you want. And for me, me ni mtu nimegrow Islands. You know what I'm saying? Like I was raised in Buru more.
Yeah.
You
He
know?
says that after a 400K check, Islando?
Yeah, it's Islando, nimegrow Buru more, and that's a life that I really never wanted to raise my kids in. Like, you know, in Nairobi ukizaliwa hii side, unafaa kusonga pa.
Uvuke hii side ingine ya Uhuru Highway.
Alafu ukishavuka hii side ingine ya Uhuru Highway, you raise your kids to be the ones who stay there, like tituli grow up. And then now they start moving now.
Sasa
waende kama ni na nyuki, unajua huko waende, because
now
unajua
we're talking.
na ukisonga hivi wale wasa walikuwa hapa wanasonga huko. It's always like that.
The mark keeps, the goalpost keeps.
Yeah, the goalpost keeps shifting. Like if at one time you wanted to live in La Vie and then you make it to La Vie, the guys used to live in La Vie, they move to Karen.
Yes. When you get to Karen, they moved from Karen wakaenda Naivasha.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Pressure.
But you have to move. You can't be static.
So in Islando, you guys were saying in Isilia mlikuwa mnakaa wapi?
Tulikuwa nakaa nimegrow more na Buru. Umoja na Buru.
Umoja na Buru. Na wase wa Buru kuna time walikuwa na floors. Guy.
Buru, unajua Buru ilikuwa like, it was a middle class neighborhood.
Yeah, I see the
70s,
houses,
80s,
the old ones. Yeah. It was big pimping those days.
It was actually good. Me, I remember like when I lived in Umo, people used to take 5'8", mathris. Wanashukia Buru alafu
5'8" ni za?
58 za Buru.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Before Buru became the capital of Eastlands. So mathris za Dandora zinapita shwi, watu wanashukia hapo, watu wanauza njugu, watu wanauza mtumba. Like it's a bit busy right now.
You know, I've grown up in fairly just a normal place, middle class Didi. But there's always this notion. Mimi ni mtu wa Zimmerman. Thika Road. Yeah. Na watu tribesmen wangu huko. There's something that came out so much about Eastlands that it's a crime
infested area.
It's crime infested area. And then anyone who came out from Islando, Islando was always that kind of thing. And I was like, was it actually that much crime ilikuwa story? Did you actually ever witness any crime yourself?
Stories are jabas.
So we witness crime?
That thing for Eastlands was always a generalization bias.
Okay.
Because unaweza kuambia may know bad people from Thika Road. So unaweza kuwa unaishi Thika Road. Yeah. Unaishi Thika Road, maybe unaishi Mathare, watu wanaita. Mathare is not Eastlands. But it's Mathare, you know what I'm saying?
But it's actually on Thika Road. Mathare is on
Thika Road.
Sasa
naona, nasa Islando, unajua inakuanganika, that's how you generalize people.
Yes.
Wewe unaongeanga hivi, you're from Islando, you know. Us guys used to be like, I don't want to say mababi or Islando, but atukukua ati, like, us guys loved good things, you know what I'm saying? Like my mom used to take us to schools in South B, although we lived in Buru and no more. We schooled in South B because she was like, and when I think about it in hindsight, you know, sometimes it's not just where you live, it's also where you school and the environment.
And you want to protect your children. You want them to see something different.
Yeah. You definitely, because
So she's taking you to South B
Yeah.
instead ya msome Buru ama umuona wenzenyu.
but tusome umoya ama tusome Buru. Tulikuwa tunasomea South because that's where she grew up. Those are the schools she knew. She was sure like hapa by there.
It's safer.
There's nothing fishy happening here.
But now in these lands we're not sure.
In a sense, because even how she grew up in South B, you know, like a lot of people who lived in Eastlands, I would say, like, I'll give you an example. Like, kuna watu walikuwa wanaishi Umo, alafu the government came, like around 1997, bought, was it Hazina? I rented lots of buildings in Hazina Estate in South B.
Yeah.
So, watu walikuwa wanaishi Eastland, all of a sudden wanaishi South B.
Una shift.
Una shift. So, location may change, but mindset bado ni ya
Still the same people.
Eastlands.
Yeah.
You get me? Or saa zingine, like for us, for example, we're living in
Buru,
Umo, but mindset near South B because that's where we've been brought up.
and that's where you're schooling, and that's
That's
also
where
the
I'm
people you're
schooling,
meeting
those are
with.
the guys I'm
So the
meeting.
friends
My
you
friends
have.
are from South B, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like it was the opposite for us.
Okay.
Yeah. Grew up in RTI. It was a parastatal. So we're just surrounded by middle class guys. I mean, if your guys or the guys living next to you are small minded and you go to school with guys who
You
live
don't
in,
want the same. So you wanted to leave Islando. Your dream was to shift.
I miss ikoala atiduburu damu like bro tunatoka huku. Dream ni kutoka block ni unalilia block kwa nini? Say I'm not ashamed but siko na ule msati buru damu mo damu bro no. Me want to move out of this place, do better for myself.
Leave the ghetto.
Yeah, unaona wale watu walikuwa wanasemanga ni Calif Records. Calif for life. Utaihama ukisema hivyo.
Unajua. Acha siongee kwa producer ananiangalia.
Utaihama. That's a legit question because you see you can't be static. You have to move. It's okay to represent West. And I don't have any problem telling anybody I grew up in Umoja. I was raised in Umoja and Buru. A school in South B.
But those are very early years of your life. 20s,
Those are
30s.
my formative years, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that was not your choice.
It wasn't my choice. Where I live now is my choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and even where I am right now, I still say by the nikapata chance kusonga na songa tu.
Take
Tunaenda.
Well, lakini wewe ni mtu wa kusonga. Ushtukagi?
Aimesunga. Ni maisha hii. Si ni moja. Usiposonga kesho unasonga lini?
Nikikwambia umse ashtukagi is because sometimes it takes a lot of courage for someone to say nasonga. And if you ever caught up with Rammzy online, he would put out his life, him and his ex who have children together. They put it out there, the green calabash.
Yeah.
And it ended. But you know what's weird? There's a big narrative of social media couples, and it happened. There's the Ace family in the States. But you didn't portray the same thing. But from where we were viewing as viewers, seeing the green calabash, seeing you guys together, we saw how an ideal couple should look. So I saw you and your ex, the mother of your children, and all of us viewing were like, wow, this is how it should be, this is how it is. And also when we look at also other YouTubers, that's the same thing that happened. We look at them and they're like, wow, this, and then it ends, we're like, okay, so what's, because, we're living our lives through you sometimes, in a way.
Vicariously.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, explain to me how it all went down. What? You deciding that, we're going to put our love life to the world, and then now retract. Now we're not in love anymore. What the fuck? Like, what? Wait, Ati? And then, we feel so entitled. We're like...
No, you're invested. I understand.
Even us as viewers, we're entitled, like, kwa nini mliachana na kwa nini nasi like, because you guys were a model, and, we've seen a couple of... There were so many couples, even. I remember Maureen Waitito and Frankie and Shiv Shimani and the
Shiki,
wife, and
yeah.
Shiki,
Yeah.
and yourself, Ramzzy and Shiko. It was such a... that was the way it was moving. So to see it not successful with two couples, we're like, what is this?
I think, as humans, we're not permanent beings by any definition of the word.
Yeah.
Even our lives are not permanent. So anything you want or anything you pursue and you really chase with passion, you have to want it. And you have to be in a place where every day, if I make a choice, I stand by my choice. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes as adults, we get to a point where the choice you made, maybe because of the environment you're in or circumstances that life has found you, you start doubting the choice you make.
Yeah.
And those doubts don't really work well for people who are living it. You know what I'm saying? And so when it was on, it was legit. I had fun.
You guys were not faking it.
It wasn't a fake thing. It wasn't acting. It was legit. I mean,
it wasn't for the views.
It wasn't for the views because, like I said in the beginning, I actually learned about monetizing YouTube from the fans.
Comments.
Yeah, because it'd be like, hey, bro, like, you know, us guys do this just to. YouTube was like a diary for us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
whose decision was it?
It was Shika's decision. Because she had a blog before the channel.
Okay.
And she decided, you know what, things are moving. I actually suggested to her, like, you know what, maybe you should consider video. You know, if you write your blog, it's about motherhood, you know, and now we're together. You can't write about motherhood only, so let's make it about parenting. So it was parenting and lifestyle. So for us, the whole idea behind sharing the content was to share our experience as young parents and the lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, after the parenting, what do you guys do? So, you know, those couple things like going out on dates, the type of stuff. So it wasn't, the YouTube channel wasn't a couple channel per se. It was parenting and lifestyle. So if you weren't in that headspace, like I know a lot of guys who never used to watch us because there just was, even my friends.
That's a problem. A lot of your own friends don't watch your content.
You know, like their heads just weren't there, and I understand, you know, like some stuff you really don't subscribe to until you get to a certain level or a certain stage in life. Yeah.
It took a lot to even decide to have a family.
Yeah.
You know, at a young age.
Yeah.
And you really picked up a lot.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you started too early, or?
I actually, when I was living my...
How old were you when you became a dad?
30.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's normal.
That's normal for me. I had told myself by 30, you know, like life has challenges. And you have to challenge yourself as a man. So at 30, I told myself...
Don't tell me as a man, I don't know.
Because I'm speaking, you know, like... I'm speaking...
I'm Babu, but I don't know as a man.
Personally, like, I like speaking from my perspective.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm playing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for me, it was by 30, either have a family or have a company that you're running.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Take care of one thing.
Have some responsibility, man, by 30.
Okay.
Because you need to start early. Like, if you plan to retire by 60, 65, bro, you need 30 years of experience, man.
Yo, we're running out of time.
You know, like, time's not on your side, bro. Memento mori.
So by 30, let's start a family.
Yeah.
You did that, and then you started your own company as well?
I started my own company before I actually had a family.
Okay.
Started a consultancy company. Yeah, selling brands ideas.
Nice.
Then I started a family. It just so happens that if I could talk to that guy then, I'd be like, you know, there's 3 things in life that are like very key milestones.
Yeah.
That's becoming a dad, starting your own things, a company, and moving. Moving, quite a big thing. Like just location. I did mine like within the same period of time.
You did a lot of things. You started a company, became a dad, and moved to another town. Hey.
I moved neighborhoods and moved to another town. So I was actually doing the most within that short time.
You did a lot of 360.
I did so much. Yeah.
Do you feel like it's one of the impacts that probably led to your breakup? Because, you know, your mind is running
I wouldn't say it was
3 circles at the same time.
I wouldn't say it was one of the things, but because there's reasons I can't share with guys. But the biggest thing for me was that I didn't realize what that was doing to me in terms of just
picking up so much weight.
Picking up so much, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had a consultancy agency, advertising agency at the same time. my son had just arrived, you know what I'm saying? So
Yo.
I'm trying to be a new dad, I'm trying to be a new CEO at the same time.
Hey.
I've just moved neighborhoods, you know, moved from South B to Kilimani. Like, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Damn.
Yeah.
For anyone.
For anyone.
Yeah.
But I was handling it I was handling my business like a man,
G.
like a G. I'm G'd up from the street.
From war.
Yeah, from war. This is my first time in Kilimani, man. I've never lived in Kilimani. I just used to pass by Kilimani. You know, when I was in Buru, I was dreaming of kutoka block, man. Tusonge hiyo side ingine ya town.
And is it as beautiful as it still is?
Kilimani is not. Kilimani is good. It's good. Yeah, I enjoyed it until Spider-Man got me.
Sahi. Spider-Man ndo nani?
Spider-Man ule kupanda floors.
Namjua, lakini in what context? Ebu leta Spider-Man Kilimani amedu?
Si ule jamaa alikuwa naibia watu, they just wipe your house clean.
Oh, yeah, there's that. And then, you know, the drug cartels, the orgies and the Nigerians. The bad Nigerians. I love Nigerians, they're nice, but the people who spoil their names.
So, Kilimani, because of its proximity to everything, you know, will always attract those fishy people. I keep telling, I used to joke with guys. Just go to a restaurant in Kilimani and say, I'm looking for gold. You'll make a lot of friends.
Salamu utasalimiwa tu.
Yeah, utasalimiwa sana. Like, you can't live in Kilimani for more than 5 years without somebody offering you some gold.
Or some conning nonsense.
You have to be... Ukikuwa kienyeji, bro, utalia. Yo si mta ya vienyeji. Uko utalia jasho.
Uturudi kwa hii calabash, ile ya green. Because calabash ikiwa green, eventually kikaka inakuwa brown.
Igrana, inakauka inakuwa ngumu.
Maybe that was the goal? That was the...
I wouldn't know. I didn't name it that way. Maybe that's
maybe that was a thought.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So I read one of the most interesting stories that you, of course, you fathered your children, but you are doula. Kama ujui doula ni nini? Doula ni ule mwanamke, the lady who helps you get a kid. Anaitangwaje?
Midwife.
Kwa Kiswahili na jina. You people know.
Nimeishi course 2 years hata nimesahau.
Wewe unatuangusha.
Swali changu nimesahau mpaka ngeli zangu.
Lakini tunajua ngeli ya genge, so utakuwa tu sawa. Anyway, so you midwifed your wife.
Not really, like
to get kid.
That story, like, people ran with it pia.
Because it sounds better that way.
Unajua, like, watu wanachukuanga story wanapiga nayo somersaults. I went to Lama's class.
Yeah.
Because it was my first time being a dad, so I had to prepare myself. I went for Lama's class, got training on how to not panic in case it happens. Before that, I was a first aider, by the way, so easy mambo si new kwangu. So I learned about the birthing process and what happens so that I don't panic, and I also learned to stay calm and reassure a woman. Because it can happen anytime, you know what I'm saying, and you have to always be prepared. You don't want child fatality or fatality or child mortality to happen when you're in the room. Yeah. So I learned about that, and then we did a home bathing. We paid for home bathing.
Home bathing.
Yeah.
For people who don't know home bathing, and I think this is a problem when the Western world comes on board. Home bathing used to happen before hospitals existed. My mom was bathed at home. Yeah.
See, now,
but my mom is old.
Going back to the traditional ways, you know what I'm saying? So we had my ex had this belief that she needed to feel the whole natural bathing experience.
Okay.
And I supported that, you know. Sio mtoto yuko kwa tumbo yangu, unajua mimi
itabidi uitikie, bro.
Mimi sidekick tu hapo. So what happened was after going through Lama's class, it was part of this home bathing package. And home bathing is easier when you do your water bath, like you have a pool, a tub. It's less traumatic for the woman, less traumatic for the baby.
But it freaks me out on the water part because the baby kunywa hiyo maji.
Si ametoka kwa maji,
Oh yeah, ametoka kwa maji anaingia kwa maji. Yeah,
si panic.
Maji niko tukaitoa simeze.
Yeah, so it just so happens that when you do home bathing, by the way, I keep telling guys, sikukuwa mbele, nilikuwa nyuma, unaambiwa kaa nyuma manzi.
Utaka mbele.
Kaa mbele.
Uko unataka mbele.
Forward.
You got to see where you've been getting in and how it comes out. Manufactured products, you have to see them to the end.
Acha tu ni sawa. Tumi sitaki kuona venye mandazi zangu za upiko. Nilete tu mandazi nikiogo hoteli.
I like the way you're talking. I really like the way you're talking.
Yeah, but anyway, the home bathing thing was that I was in the room with my sons. Both of them were born.
Yeah.
And I cut I cut both their umbilical cords. I gave them body to body.
Yeah.
So to me, it was also quite an experience, and I think I would say that bond. By the time my son was, both of them, by the time they were like 1 year old, it felt like we had known each other for so long.
Because you've been through this together.
I'm the first person that saw them.
Yeah.
When they came out, and I'm the first person they met when they came to the world.
It's such a good gift.
Yeah.
I can floss. I have that one experience. I was the first one who saw my nephew when he was born.
Yeah.
I always boasted. That's what I mean. That was a hospital setting.
Yeah.
And it's becoming such a common thing. But the media came and took the story and ran with it. And, with having such a story, it kind of, to the world, they kind of emasculate it. Because a lot of times we tell men, be away during the bath, da-da-da-da. But then there's this different version, be there during the bath, participate, do skin on skin, cut the umbilical cord. The narrative out here was a little bit, how was it received? And I know people have always questioned that, because you know how the narrative goes, uku kwa ground.
Me mtu aniangalie, you see, like, I like saying that you have to be so confident in your masculinity to do some things.
Okay.
You lazima ujelewe, unajua, because ukianza kuambia yo bro, you've been emasculated, and then uanze kuamini kila kitu unaambiwa pia utatupa mbao. Mimi ni msanii kutoka Islands, nini unaweza niambia sijaambiwa?
Kutoka Islands kana Kilifi.
Kuja kama me I keep telling guys like, hey, if you feel like come to fight, basi if your idea of a masculine man is a man who stands up and take care of his stuff, I do that already.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I have more responsibilities than a lot of the people who come at me with that energy.
Yeah.
And I take care of my stuff.
But I know.
For the longest time though, I used to get a lot of that type of energy.
A lot of questions.
From guys. Yeah, like, I'm like, wow, how would you do that? Even from women, siku hizi kuna gatekeepers wa patriarchy wengi ni wanawake.
Najua.
Yeah, and that's when I realized, wow, kweli, sio uongo.
But I think you made such a good decision, because you even taught Kenyans there's a different way of doing things. There's a different way of bringing children to this world. There's a different way for men to be there for their children.
Yeah.
Now that...
Sio mbele, nyuma tu.
Mbele iko sawa sana. Alikuwa nyuma during the back kwa mbele.
Yeah, so you know
ataki front row seat. Uko nataka front row seat.
For real, even for that type of stuff, you also have to know, even if someone suggests it, you also have to know what's comfortable for you.
Yeah.
You could be in the next room. You don't have to be inside the room and all
as
that
well, yeah.
Because you have a midwife there. My second son, just so happens that the labor came so fast, the midwife was stuck in traffic on Thika Road, and I had to do it. But even then, I was nyuma.
So you were just helping her push.
I was just encouraging her, like, wait, relax.
Oh, no, you see, that's the thing. We thought that you were on the front row.
Nah, I actually had to put the water together because the labor kicked in. We had a camera rolling because we wanted to record the whole process. So the camera was rolling, and I was filling the
water.
The tab. Then we couldn't get enough hot water. We had to boil water, put it in a dough, shwa, 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 shwa. And when everything was done and I put her inside the tab, it took maybe like less than 10 minutes. I just stood at the back. And
encouragement,
and the video
cheering
is still online.
squad.
Yeah, cheering squad. Just because you see, at the end of the day, that's your son.
Yeah.
So I don't care what anybody says about my masculinity. My son knows I'm the best. I'm the greatest man alive. That's what they know. So anybody else's opinion doesn't matter.
That's their story. They're living in their house, wajipange huko.
Yeah. Siani huko kwa na hiyo masculinity yako yote unafanya nini? Umetoka Islands na haija kutoa Islands.
Imagine.
You know, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
The dynamics have changed for you in your relationship, because now you're a single man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you live with your children or I don't know how it works. How are you able to handle those two differences from being with them day to day to now not being with them day to day?
I'd say it was tough. In the first year, it was really tough. Like, for me personally, the fact that I went from spending day one with my kids, like I birthed them, and then
Yes.
not seeing them on a day-to-day basis,
Yeah.
that was where a lot of my sadness was coming from in the first year. It wasn't so much the breakup, it was the fact that, you know, I was so used to a routine. And then now I can't see my kids, you know, I can't call them as often as I want to because they'll ask me when I'm visiting, you know what I'm saying, and I can't visit. They're so used to seeing me every day. That was the toughest bit for me.
Damn.
Yeah.
But, you know, now it's, how is it now?
Sometimes you have to hurt some people. And I always say, you have to hurt everybody a little so that you don't hurt yourself a lot.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. So it's like I distributed everything. Like, hey,
you've come from a home where your dad and mom were there with you all the way through.
No. Actually, I was raised by a single mom.
Where's your dad?
The story I was doing.
Ali.
Yeah. I talked to him, by the way, we chat, you know, ever since he started seeing me on YouTube and I started being out there and like we chat every once in a while, but he was never around.
And I can imagine, you know, the effects of not having him that much around.
Yeah.
There was a difference because a woman cannot be a father as well.
Yeah.
She can only do so much.
Yeah. In hindsight, though, those are things you actually learn in hindsight because, you know, with life, you can't say there's a theory on life.
Yeah, there's no script.
You live and then you find out. You fuck around and find out. Hakuna story, you find out then fuck around.
You fuck around a little bit.
Just a little. You fuck around and find out. So there's things I definitely, in hindsight, know that I would have done better had he been around.
Yeah.
But then also in hindsight, sometimes I look and I'm like, if this man was present in my life, I probably wouldn't be who I am today. So life just has a way. It's like a river, you know, like in Itonga riparian land, you know, a river can flow in this line here like this.
Yeah.
But then every season, if the rain, depending on how the rain is, it
can edge somewhere else.
It rudi. So there's always that margin of error. And I think him not being around was a margin of error for me. So I was allowed to make my mistakes, my own mistakes, own my mistakes, and learn from my own mistakes, as opposed to being told, hey, hapa unafanyanga hivi, hapa unaenda hivi. So there's a lot of things in hindsight I know would have handled way better.
I can imagine. And you know, now the risk of the narrative being now, okay, your children are being raised again in a single mom household one more time.
Not really for me, though. I don't see it that way.
You're just co-parenting. That's what you're going to call it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Sorry.
Because I have a room for my kids in my house.
Yeah?
They come spend weekends with me. Like we do that every other weekend. They come spend a day with me. I still go for my kids, you know, parents' days, teacher meetings and all that. Yeah.
I won't lie. The death of any relationship, you guys think it only hurts you guys, but it hurts everyone else. Everyone else who was in love with you guys as well. Because everyone's like, oh man, I was really rooting for you guys. Nilikuwa nataka to win pamoja.
Yeah, but sasa ndio unapo ndo sana pale wanaambiaga watu kila mtu aishi maisha yake. It's nice. It's nice, thank you, but kila mtu aishi maisha yake, kila mtu ajione maisha. Because sometimes, you know, like, just because it didn't work for me, and I keep telling people that, just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean it can't work for you.
There's something I say with our generation, because I believe we're almost in the same age group.
Yeah.
We're not too far from each other. Not far from each other, but also you've done so much for your life. I feel ulianza mapema, but it's good.
Nilianza late. I was a late starter, mimi.
I don't know. Utafanya ni lose train of thought, baby. I feel like our generation is not being tolerant with our better halves. I feel like we're not tolerating each other, and that is why we're getting to where we are.
No.
I'm not saying tolerate misbehavior and tolerate meanness and people being, you know, a pain in where the sun don't shine, but we're not tolerating each other to have grace. You know what I mean? You know what grace is, eh?
I know.
I preach grace and redemption all the time. I'm like, please have grace for one another, because
This is something I said in one of the spaces I used to host on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like when I was in Malindi for a year. I used to have a lot of epiphanies kwa sababu ya beach.
Unajua unaona maji.
Unaona maji, unaingia ndani, unapata thoughts za watu wako India.
Indian Ocean.
You stepping on the same water, unapata thoughts za watu wako Tanzania. Unajua hizi knowledge. Mnashare tu knowledge, mnakanyaga maji same. But I used to tell guys all the time, you know what? You're definitely doing it wrong if you give your friends more grace than you give your lovers. Because there's a reason why your friendships are lasting longer than your relationships, your romantic relationships.
I have a different thought. I feel like, especially for female relationships give a lot of grace to their spouses more than their actual friends. No, I've experienced it too.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd see a nigga do shit again and again. You do one thing, you're out. And like, this guy shits on you.
But our girlies are friends for life.
There's that too.
Yeah.
It's a catch-22 sometimes. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes women have more grace for their friends more than they have for.
Like for example, if you have your girlfriends, mkikosana, the first thing that comes to your mind is not how you're going to end the friendship.
Yeah.
But if you kosana boyfriend yako, it's over.
Hey, today in the morning I told someone delete my number.
It's over.
Like delete it, never have it again.
Like, people don't believe unaweza kosana na mtu na bado umpende. That's the problem. Like, unaweza nikosea na bado nakupenda lakini ndakuambia umenikosea. That's how friendship works. Wewe uliniboy ile siku. But bado ni beshte yangu, bado ni boys. And then you'll hug, you'll say nakupenda.
But that's the grace and tolerance that is lacking in relationships. That's why we're seeing a lot of breakups.
Yeah. So
no one has us like, I hate you today. I hate what you've done today. That part of you today. Kesho.
So for me, it's two things.
Yeah.
Actually, it's three. The first thing is you don't give your lovers as much grace as you give your friends. When your lover yani amekukosea, like you're so ready to end it, you're so ready to take it to the next level. Unajua, mbona umenikosea hivyo wewe? Kwani unafikiria mimi ni nani? Unajua, that's one.
Kautatuambia hivyo.
Secondly, it's the fact that I think if you talk to old people, ask anybody who's been married for 40 years, you ask them how many years are magical. Watakwambia by the way, we were married for 40 years, but out of those 40 years, 5 nilikuwa mjinga, 5 zingine zilikuwa mbaya, but those 30 years that were left were worth it.
Okay.
Sisi hizo 5 years mbaya tuwezi hata. Mnapigwa na challenge kidogo hivi, it's over. It's a wrap. Unataka tu kuenda.
Is it that we're wimps? Is it, I don't know. There's so many, but also I feel there's something that you said earlier in our conversation. You know yourself and you're careful not to allow so many people to talk to you and tell you so many things.
Yeah.
We're in a generation where people are listening to people tell them so many things.
True.
That they have identities to what has been told. Like if Rammzy keeps on preaching lambistic, now I know not to be lambistic. Like identity of people right now, especially with guys, it's based on what another person said.
And you can see even in language. Like I'm very keen nowadays. If you hear how somebody talks, for example, I don't have anything against Andrew Kibe. I think sometimes he makes sense. Sometimes he doesn't. But if you hear somebody using Andrew Kibe's language, that's a person who's not thinking for themselves already.
And it's so sad. People don't have their own identity.
So your idea of who a man is from this dude. And he knows himself. Yeye anajijua. Anakuambia kitu yeye anajua.
It's from a podcast. I know this is a podcast too, but we encourage you to know yourself more than anything.
And I'm not saying it in a bad way. Like I think Kibe a lot of times anaambia gawasev tu zamana, ile delivery tu ndio mbaya unajua. Like he has to ruffle feathers.
Or maybe start wearing feathers because he's behaving like a bird.
Okay. Also some things I don't really support. These content creators, you know what? Make your money.
Yeah.
However, if it works for you, it's fine. I don't have to like it. I don't have to agree with it. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. Unajua, but we tengeneza pesa. Kama kuna customers wa kusikia, watasikiza na utapata hiyo do. But one thing is that I said the first thing is we don't give each other grace. I have more grace for my friends than I do for my lover. And I'm expecting this guy who most times you find that if I have friends, they've known me longer than any of my lovers. but I
Ni
expect
wengi, umesikia ni lovers.
yeah, but I expect I expect more grace, or I give more grace to my friends
more than
my
your lover.
Umse akujui bado. And remember, ukipatana na mtu imanisha timeacha kugrow. So that's one thing. We give more grace to our friends than we do to our lovers. Secondly, people forget that once you link up with someone, you're both still growing. You know, if we met at 25, I'm not going to act like I'm still 25.
Yeah.
I'll change. So you have to love how I'm changing. Na kama hupendi mtu na, you know how people say, I'm loving the woman I'm becoming. If I don't love the woman you're becoming, I can walk away, or I can teach myself to love that woman. So I have that choice. It's my choice.
Yeah.
And it's also your choice to either love the man I'm becoming, ama if you want me to stay as a 25-year-old, uendelee grow, mini stagnate. That won't work for me.
And you see, you guys now walking in different paths. Yeah.
You start walking in different paths, and before you know it, it just doesn't make sense to be together anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's 2.
Yeah.
Ya tatu. Ya tatu niyo nilikuwa nakwambia. We don't have, tolerance is a muscle you have to build. And most times, what a lot of the virtues, those 7 virtues, 7 virtues.
I think so.
Those virtues
are, yeah,
hizo virtues by the tunaangalianga saa zingine ukizifollow unakaa mjinga because zimepreachiwa ka ujinga. Like if you're patient with someone, tambua ni fala, you're clowning.
When you wimp.
Unajua you're clowning. Unajua you're clowning when you fala just because you're patient. And what that does inevitably is it makes something like you can't have that 40-year marriage, because nobody will ever tell you I was married for 40 years and all those 40 years were perfect. Hizo miaka 5 zile, unajua hizo miaka 5 tusema tunataka kununua shamba, tunataka kuanzisha company. Of course my focus will be
on the
shamba and the company. Wewe unataka nikupende for a living, unawazimu nini?
Lakini unajua hapo ndio, this is where you guys, you guys can't balance. Men can't actually balance the 360.
And that's why we complement each other, because when I can't balance for me. Wewe unaona gari kona
mimi na karatili kwenye sofa katupime.
Ushaona gari kona wheels 3 ikisonga vizuri.
Enyewe ni 4.
Ni 4.
Una tuk-tuk.
Ni 4 hata donut. Like sometimes it's not, you see now when you're patient, you start thinking I've compromised. Nimejipunguza, and then now depending on who you're listening to. That also plays a very big impact on how your relationships go. Like Juicy, I was being told by a friend who was being told by a therapist, a relationship and marriage therapist, that sometimes ukiwa na shida na mtu, the person you're dating, then you run to your friends or run to your family, and you tell them what is bothering you. Maybe saa zingine that person is the problem or you're the problem. When you resolve that issue and you move on, your family and friends have not moved on.
They still hate him.
They still hate him.
Her.
Or hate her. So you can imagine if you go to them with your problems every single time, and every single time you go back with another problem, kausha resolve ile ya kwanza.
Na ukutuambia.
Ukuambia, what type of advice do you think they're going to give you?
It's bitter and angry. So kwa nini mko naye bado? Si last week mko mmepiga sasa ona?
See. Unafikiria mbona wa mama wa kitambo? Sometimes I think women want to be modern and have traditional men, and men want to be traditional. They want to be modern and have traditional women, and that will never happen.
That's a psycho world.
It will never happen. Like I said earlier, reality is one of the most politically incorrect things that exists, and a lot of us really struggle with what is reality because we're always trying to fight reality. There's just instances where two things can't exist.
They can't exist in the same
in the same reality. It can't happen.
And there's something that's also changing. Let's shift the gear kidogo. There's a reality that's changing, the old way of advertising and the new way of advertising. We have to talk about it because we're in that space. At Twiver Studios, it's big on advertising and marketing and things like that. Influencer. The old, there's something I heard. Tell me what you think about this. A company, a snack company, gave one of the biggest influencers the budget that they give traditional TV and radio.
Yeah.
All she did was put it in a microwave, popped it, and it got what it needed to get. They got the ROI.
Yeah.
The snack was bought off of shelves.
Yeah.
And that was one Instagram post.
Yeah.
That's something funny.
Yeah.
There's a big impact that is happening right now with traditional advertising and the modern way.
Yeah.
And you've been sitting in that space because you were in the traditional world.
Yeah.
Silver Fox, umekuwa huku, umeona.
I've been on radio, I did radio for 2 years.
Yeah.
I've been working in advertising the whole time. I've worked in advertising since 2010.
There's a shift.
There's quite a big shift. But you see, the problem is, when there's a shift and you're not ready to move with the shift because maybe where you're eating is a good meal where you're eating, you eventually get left behind. Somebody will come up with the new model and they'll run off and leave everybody else who's stuck in the old ways scrambling for crumbs. Yeah, that usually happens.
What's going to happen here and what's happening right now? Tell me.
I think here, sometimes, because we're a different market, you kind of have to have that balance, you know what I'm saying? Like, you still need to make sure, because Kenya majority ni vienyeji, unajua. You can't help it.
Number
kubwa ni vienyeji, number one. So, you kind of have to make sure that side is covered. It's covered by radio, it's covered by activations, that's done. But the modern Kenyan, the urban Kenyan, the peri-urban
The one
Kenyan,
who has Wi-Fi.
The one who has Wi-Fi. Bro, these guys they're exposed to international stuff. These are guys who go on TikTok and the content they consume is international. So even locally, if you don't give local nuances that are actually anchored on humor or, a lot of the local...
Modern mental
like
health.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
their core.
Yeah, like now we have Kenyaji TikTok.
Yeah?
Wasi wako ocha, wanachapa TikTok.
I know, and they're blowing up and it's so good.
It's because you see, these guys are not... When Kenyaji TikTok joined TikTok, they weren't looking at people from Nairobi and what Nairobians are doing. They were looking at internationally what's happening.
Yeah.
And so agencies as well need to start looking at international trends. Don't look at this agency is doing what. No, bro, like your benchmark should be here. Then you land here.
Bado.
And see, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need to start thinking ahead of the game. Start thinking ahead. Because what's happening now in ad agencies is the clients are realizing, hey, we can save a lot of money by hiring some of these guys internally. What happens? You're not making the same money you used to make. Okay, so now what do you sell clients? Are you actually solving a problem that they're looking to solve? Because you see a lot of times what advertising or what agencies do, and I'm not speaking in bad way, I'm not pinpointing any specific agent, just saying the industry, the way it's designed locally is you diagnose a problem, and then you don't solve the problem because you're scared if you solve the problem, then the money goes away.
That's a problem. Because if you're able to sustain a problem, just keep pouring water on it.
Yeah, it's like how NGOs work. So, mkienda mplant miti huko Northeastern, utatoa wapi pesa? If you solve the problem, where do you find the money to continue? Because you actually studied your whole career for this thing, and then you realize, wow, if I solve this problem, how am I supposed to eat?
But let me tell you, we're having a generation that is actually solving problems, and they want people who are solving problems.
And that's what I'm saying. You see, now what happens is you can only do it for so long because you have talented people in the agency. And when these talented people are recruited and go to the client side, the client side, the metrics are different.
Yeah.
It's not revenues. It's how do we nip this in the bud.
It's impact now.
Yeah, impact now. So when these guys are sitting on the client side, they ditch the model, and they no longer subscribe to the model that you are selling them because they understand it. They go on the client side and like, hey, let's do this differently. Let's do it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time has changed for sure, man. Time has really changed, and I really like how open you are about your life, especially work life and a little bit personal. I'm like, now that you're going to be doing your own personal content, like Rammzy in the wild.
Bila shati.
No. Uvae nguo?
Nguo ya nini bwana?
Wewe vaa nguo.
Acha nitoe shati bwana.
Hapana, vaa nguo. Unajua tunaogopa you need to secure my camera guys man.
Tattoo tu peke yake. Si one day I will like unajua acha nitajie mikubali. Sitakuwa na vaa shati. Ndako kama Shiv na Frankie. Unavaa shati nini?
Lakini unajua ukai kama hao, hiyo ndio mbaya.
Nakwambia sasa zinasema nikienda gym.
Kwanza enda gym.
Niende gym.
Omoka kwanza.
Acha niende gym, mwili omoke. Unajua.
Utaanza kufanya motivation ukiwa shirtless.
Sasa hiyo shati unavaa nini gym? Surely like you see someone like Frankie or Shiv, sometimes you think they take off their shirts for thirst trap. These guys are in the gym like 5 hours a day.
They're sweating.
That's what they do for a living. The trainers huko hapo unataka ati gym, unaenda gym 30 minutes unataka kupiga picha bila shati.
Waachana sisi
tunaenda. Unless ni Costo.
Sisi tunaenda 20 minutes tumeshinda selfie the whole time.
When I was in Costa, I never used to wear shirts because it's hot.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that tuku zinaona kama thirst traps.
But also there's a lot of colonial mindset.
You know, context is
Africans
always
used to be naked half the time.
Yeah.
I don't know what is the problem.
Karibu niulize ukishinda ukitoa shati na nataka kuoa, unajua.
Uliulizwa hivyo?
Karibu, that was a step before Nairobi nikasema huko kuna baridi. Nisishike
Nairobi usikuje na hiyo mambo ya nini.
Pneumonia itanimaliza.
You made such a big shift and I want to ask you about that. And let me say this. There's one of the biggest notions, watu wengi wanatoka rural areas, wanatoka mashambani, mja Nairobi.
Yeah.
I have been to the coast a couple of times, but I've gone for fun times.
Yeah.
And I won't lie, I love it. I usually say my other billionaire version of me has a home there. And, you know, she drives down or flies down every week. But then there's something I felt. As someone who's lived in Nairobi, fast life, all my life.
Yeah. Coast
is quite slow. Like things are quite slow. They're a little bit faster now because now we can see, you know, now there's taxis, there's, you know, mobile taxis zimekuja. These are mobile apps.
Yeah.
And making such a big shift from the town to the calm for someone who was used to fast life, uko agency. Nakwambia mnafanya mpaka 2 a.m. ni kazi, kesho mko job, kuna concert kesho. What kind of a shift did you get even for your mental health moving from Nairobi to Kilifi?
I'll first maybe say that it was easier for me to move to the coast because I moved during the pandemic. So there wasn't
Everything was shut down.
Yeah, so like there was no difference between somebody who's at the coast and someone who's in like things were moving. Then secondly, when I was at the coast, I realized your slowness by there is not that people are lazy, because in Malindi, where I lived, fishermen are in the ocean at 4 a.m.
My goodness.
Yeah, 4 a.m. Watu bado wamelala Nairobi.
Oye, wacha uongo. 4
a.m. ni hawkers peke yake wanatembea.
Hawkers na hookers, watu wako job.
Sasa huko, sinakwambia, si huko pia wao wako kazi. Wako kazi pia. So fishermen are in the ocean by 4. And because it's quite hot, by midday, you have to make sure all your important work is done so that the afternoon is just for relaxing.
Because you can't even do much with
You can't
that
do
heat.
much in the afternoon. And you know, there's one thing, I used to have the same mentality, coast ni slow, coast ni lazy, nini. I realized it's the same.
I didn't say it's lazy. I just said it's slow.
Yeah, I get you, because you see, it's not that you said it. Like, there's a lot of that.
But that's the notion,
that misconception,
yeah.
Because when I got there, I realized I am so productive. I wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning. By 2 p.m.
Done for the
a
day.
job. Because you're trying to beat the heat. You get me? And when I was there, I realized it's not just the Kenyan coast. Ata Los Angeles to Miami is the same thing.
Oh, man, Los Angeles.
Si naonanga watu wakiongea. Like ukienda kwa comment sections, YouTube.
Yeah.
People are talking about these destinations. I was on Cali, you know, Cali people are so lazy. Oh my God. Then
that's a narrative people think, that if you live by the coastline,
it's every hot place. You have to, because you see, you can't fight your body. We venye watu unasemanga coast ni lazy. Hebu enda wa Nairobians wale wanakuanga coast. Unaonanga Nairobian yoyote Mombasa saa 9 ati anatembea. Wanakuanga wamelala kwa beach. You're also lazy like the people you're saying are lazy. In those hours you're saying they're lazy. When these guys wake up at 4, umelala, juko na hangi, ulikam holiday. Umeenda umelewa, umebleki. Hawa swali amka 4 asubuhi. Hawa swali amka 4 asubuhi. They've worked. Me, I remember when I lived in Malindi, because we had a gardener, we had 2 nannies.
You were living the life. 2 nannies. Gad, now you're about to get a driver, no?
I know. I didn't know. He didn't have a car. You know,
Security man.
Sold the moti.
Karibu kuwe na hata butler.
The security ilikuwa ni communal security. But those guys who show up at work, contract nasema saa 2 wanakuja saa 1 hata 6:30 saa zingine.
So they're very disciplined with work.
They are, because you see, for them, they know ile saa 6 ikifika hivi when the sun is over your head like this, la kupiga hapa unasikia tu usingizi. So for them even, it's an incentive for them to come earlier because they want to be done with the work earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also it was really good for your mental health.
It was. Vitamin D. There's a lot of health benefits of vitamin D on your mental health.
Yeah.
The sun, just being by the ocean. Izima sijui ambient sounds mnachezanga hapa Nairobi za the wicked.
Tunazi-download kwa apps.
There's no sleep for the wicked. Mna-download apps ndo mlale. To me, like I would sleep. I just hear the waves
of the ocean.
And it puts me to sleep.
You want to go back?
Definitely. So when I moved back to Nairobi, it wasn't that nimechorea coast kabisa. It's to make money, to be able to build my own house there.
So you do believe that still the economy is heavier in Nairobi than?
For me, I keep saying, you know what? It's natural anywhere you go that the economy is always going to be better
in the capital.
In the capital city.
That's true. That's true.
So it's not like guys there don't work hard. This is the opportunities zote ziko
And also,
Nairobi.
it was not our fault that Nairobi is fast moving and other counties,
because it's the capital. It has to move fast by default. And like Nairobi sometimes it's an illusion of fast.
Yeah, because you can be fast going nowhere.
You can be going nowhere. Like for example, Nai utaamka 4 ndio usipate traffic.
By the
mtu wa Costa akiamka 7 nyote mtafika job 7:30 ama 8. You woke up earlier to save time in traffic.
Yeah.
Ukienda home, you spend 1.5 hours, 2 hours in traffic. Home say and I spend maybe max 30 minutes kufika home. So you don't actually work more than them. You don't work harder than them. The environment is just different.
Yeah. I want to know, so what's the future of your content creation now? What are you looking at? What could you predict that would work as well for, people who are learning content creation? Because you've done it for such a long time.
I'd say for me, I never really have like a master plan for how you create content. I'm like, bro, I'm creating content.
You need to do a master class, man. You've been doing it for a long time.
I create content from and for where I am in life. You know what I'm saying? So when I became a dad, I was doing dad content. When I was a single guy working in agency, I used to be the guy at every party. You know what I'm saying? Like, event yote niko nayo nakupatia, So now I still party, but not as frequent. I'm painting more because ile miaka zangu pia, like I don't want to be out there like
you say like you're in your 50s, bro.
I'm not, but I'm just saying, like
you feel like you've petered that phase.
It's not exciting anymore. Like I can't be that guy on a Monday talking about where I partied on Saturday. I find that so silly, man. You know what I'm saying? But I know there's an age where like, wow, on Saturday we were here. Wow, on Sunday we went blah, blah, blah. Mimi ukiniambia sasa ni nini naweza like, nikitaka kurudi narudi. Sina streets tu.
Umerudi streets? Uko gani kwenanga mayo nyingine?
Mimi acha nikwambie tu kweli. Mimi napitanga, unaona hapo expressway venye unapitanga ukiangalia.
Uangalie unapita chini.
Streets ni huko like, but nikitaka kuona nini iko siku hizi nini na happen huko na dips zingine kidogo alafu natoka.
Oh my God. I have to say, I had a good time with Rammzy. You've got to follow him on Twitter if you haven't already. These are the people who designed KOT. Part of the reasons why Twitter in Kenya is as vibrant as it is. Part of the reason as to why agency life is as interesting as it is. It was really nice to have you.
Thank you.
Amen. Remember, you can stream us live on Spotify, Boomplay, and of course YouTube. This is the POV podcast with Kate Rira.
Thank you.